Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this month's Talk with Anu show. And this is a special episode dedicated to all the women. Celebrate women, empower women, inspire women, support women. And I have with me Shalini. She's a CEO and co founder for Clearbox AI and a PhD researcher. Hi, Shalini. How are you?
Hi, Anu. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Thank you so much for again coming here and sharing your thoughts on AI and women empowerment and women in AI. So, this is a special episode for Women's Day, and I really wanted to have this conversation with you. And tell us something about you, your place of birth, you're currently residing in. Tell us something about you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Well, I'm very happy to speak with you and hopefully to other people through this channel. I'm Shalini Kurapati. I'm originally from Andhra Pradesh. My parents are from there. I was born in a town called Chittoor, but then after I did my schooling there, and then I moved to Chennai for my bachelor's in College of Engineering Guindy, and my parents also live in Chennai now. So I think I'm much more related to Chennai now in India than any other city at the moment.
Awesome.
So I mean, and also when I grew up, but I mean, I also watched a lot of Tamil movies because of television and stuff. So yeah, Telugu is my mother tongue, and I can speak some Tamil, and I don't speak any Hindi. But and then after my bachelor's, I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering actually
Uh-huh.
in College of Engineering Guindy, and after that, I really liked engineering mainly because it was easy to. I didn't have to memorize too much as long as I knew how to solve an equation in a certain method. I didn't have to memorize too much, so that really attracted me towards engineering. Let's say, and it was like very creative, and you can think about things.
Fantastic.
After that, I did my master's. I was actually planning to move to the US. I have a lot of family in the US and the UK, like many Indians. But I had a scholarship. I got a scholarship from the Netherlands, the TU Delft in the Netherlands. So I thought it was a very nice opportunity, and they were paying my flight ticket as well in addition to my studies. So I was like, okay, I will go there. That was a kind of a easy decision. And actually, jokes apart, I really liked how engineering would affect. I didn't like just one focus. I wanted technology and society. How do they work together? So I found this very nice program in TU Delft. The master's was in technology policy and management, so it was an intersection of all these three things. It was not just one focus itself. So and also I got the scholarship, so it was easy for me to move there. And then I did my PhD also in the same topic. So that's how I moved to the Netherlands. And after my research, I decided to deepen my knowledge more into technology and society, and data was fascinating, especially.
So, you are the CEO at Clearbox AI. And how much of your typical day is involved in innovating AI tech for your customers? And how did this AI connection happen? Tell us something
Yeah,
about it.
the explosion of new technologies, and I kind of dug deep into data stewardship, management, and privacy and ethics, and all these are very much related to AI, and that was kind of how I came about to AI. That's a little bit about myself. Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, data is such an interesting topic. I worked in data science as well as a data analyst in the airline industry. So I really enjoyed that work, doing that work. And
So, like I just said, I was always fascinated by the potential of data, and AI was the technology that could tap that potential. So, you have these algorithms now based on neural networks. People call it machine learning and deep learning, and you don't even have to tell them what to do with the data. As long as you feed them the data, they will give you some results, whatever those results might be. It could be a prediction or recommendation or whatever.
Mhm.
So AI was definitely an easy next step to data. So what do we do with this data? How are we going to get insights? So it's really a great tool to get insights from the data in a very neat manner, let's say. And how Clearbox came about is that it started with the issue. I think we are one step even ahead of adoption. So once people start adopting AI technologies, what are the consequences for the society? What are the consequences for us human beings? Are we doing it in an ethical way? Are we doing it in a way that's responsible? And that's why Clearbox was born as the opposite of the black box, like the black box AI, where you don't understand what the algorithms are doing, you don't have control over what they're doing. And there's a lot of issue of bias, there's a lot of issue of even if you leave out the bias issues, there are also you train a model and you get a particular, you get like a 90% accuracy for a model, and then you use it in this is all in a lab, right? When you build a model, you build it in a, let's say, almost a laboratory setting, and once you put it in real life, the performance is not the same, and you don't understand what's happening because new data is being fed. So all these issues, we call it managing AI models. It's increasingly difficult, actually. I mean, everybody talks about using AI in their companies. It's becoming a buzzword. It's really AI based. Sure, even a chatbot is AI based, but the actual it's getting very hard. So that's where I saw the challenge, and I said, when we started out with a couple of our co-founders, we were first thinking of we actually had a little consultancy in actually building the models, and it was quite easy to build the models. Building a models was not rocket science. This was already before AI became super famous. And once we putting into production, we call it putting into actual business practices, was more complicated, managing these models, assessing it. So we wanted to make a difference there. And what we do, we don't do consultancy. We are actually a product based startup. So we are building a product that can it's now we are putting it on it will be a SaaS, a software as a service. So it's kind of a tool that people who build models can use it to automatically verify, assess their models, try to understand their models, and use it responsibly. So right now it's the people who will use it are data scientists, the ones that build the model. And the next step is also managers can have a look at what's happening. So we call it the current tool, which we already have. It's called the model assessment tool. But now in very soon we'll also have something called AI control room. So you'll have like a full overview about what's happening with your data, with your models in your company.
Fantastic. So it's called the control room that you're developing, and the model assessment is already presented.
Yeah, the model assessment is kind of a tool that you use before you put it into production. It's kind of a test bench where you can run a lot of what if scenarios, like try to see what's going to happen if I put wrong data, or if there is so you can do a lot of experiments in an automated way. We have like this whole setup. And it can be used with any kind of machine learning models. It doesn't matter whether you're using PyTorch or XGBoost or Keras, doesn't matter. You can use it. Yeah, that's the.
I think that pretty much answers my question. My next question: trusted AI and ethical AI. You covered that portion as well. So, any more further points you have on that?
Yeah, because I think we also need to be very careful about ethical AI, because it almost becomes like ethical washing, like they say, oh, we are doing ethical AI, we are checking these lists, but it should be really imbibed in the way you work. I would use the word trustworthy AI more than ethical AI, because ethics will be a part of it. So what and unfortunately or fortunately, there are way too many frameworks that talk about ethics, ethical framework of XYZ organizations. There's too many of them. But in general, what we think based on the collection of all these is, first of all, human beings need to be in control. Like, so we need to have technology where we can push the stop button. We can say, okay, this doesn't seem right. I need, and it's not so easy, especially with the complicated technology like that. Providing an intervention mechanism that is efficient and also, let's say, easily implementable is not, it's challenging, but that's one thing we definitely need to do. And the other thing is, we have to check how fair is this. That's a little bit on the ethical part. So are we taking into control whether we are discriminating some people against the other, or based on their race, color, background, economic background, whatever? Are we disadvantaging the people who are already disadvantaged? Because that kind of happens with AI refunds. And one thing people don't really focus on is also the environmental impact of artificial intelligence. It's very although we have powerful technology, it also consumes a lot of energy. So we also need to think about, are we developing efficient algorithms, or are we just like, brute forcing them? So we have to also think in terms of design, and we are looking at data, and data is the fuel for the algorithm. So it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't get your data right, you don't get. So, and it's also a very complicated discussion about data. How are you procuring your data? And now there have been reports of what we call almost sweatshops, data sweatshops. I don't know, even in India there are quite a few of them, where big companies, for all the intelligence, most of the data needs to be labeled by human beings.
Right.
So, and this data labeling farms, and especially for healthcare data, I've read a report on New York Times recently that they give very little training about. They have to listen to types of coughs all day long, and they need to label what type of cough it is. And so, is that ethical? Like, we are using people who are, and some organizations are also sensitive about the mental health of these people who have to go through the same strenuous exercise all during the day, and how are we sourcing this data? So it's a very complicated issue. So data is also, we can talk about data forever, but it's an integral part of AI. And then you also need to think about, are we respecting the law? Because it could be that when you make a decision, that decision might, you don't know yet, because AI is ahead of a lot of laws are catching up about how to regulate this, but it might affect people in so many different ways. Recently there was a court ruling against I think a food delivery company, because their algorithms were discriminating against people who were not working in the weekends. That shouldn't be the case. It was against the labor law. So, and also privacy laws, and you have financial laws. So, are you respecting the laws? And are you giving, is it robust enough? Does it have fail-safe mechanisms? All these, there are a bunch of things you can look at to make your AI robust and trustworthy. Yeah.
Too many things actually to consider.
Yes, it's, of course, we can, yeah,
That
we cannot solve everything, but at least if you're aware of these problems, that's already a very good starting point.
That's good. I think when you were talking about the cough part of it, I thought about this question. Is it diverse enough? Do we have enough women in AI? How is it? Your thoughts on that?
Unfortunately, the diversity is a big problem in the AI industry. At least, at least I think in the universities, it's better compared to the companies,
Mhm.
because and it's not just AI, but women in technology in general, like the ones who are it's there are a lot of reasons for that. There's no uh, the quick answer is yes, absolutely. We need diversity, because we cannot just have people of certain upbringing, of a certain class, or a certain color, or certain background, developing algorithms that will influence our lives, in very important ways. So yes, I mean, absolutely yes. But how we get there, it's a challenging. A lot of people are working on it. So I will be. I would sound too proud if I had the answer for that. Unfortunately.
Sure. I think this is a topic that's being widely spoken these days, diversity. And of course, when it comes to gender bias, we need more women in AI to think from from another aspect. So I also heard somewhere a speech where an app was developed in iOS or Android where a menstrual cycle wasn't considered enough. I think I've heard a speech from you as well. So, any thoughts on that? How is it dealt with?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say not just men or women, but we need also people of color. We need people of different sexual orientations. We need people of different cultures. Absolutely. I mean, I can give you another example, which is not gender bias. Bias is a very well known topic. Like, for example, um, there was an algorithm that had to recognize soap, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was trained only for the Western soaps with the dispenser.
Okay.
There was a soap in other countries, they just have a blob of soap to wash their hands, so a hand soap, and that was not recognized as hand soap. It was only that was so it's also not just there are things that you don't consider. And also, if you look at weddings, the description of weddings, it's just a man in a tuxedo and a woman in a but if you look at an African wedding, it doesn't recognize that as a wedding. So it's diversity of gender, backgrounds, cultures. we
Age,
we,
even
we need
age,
to
I think,
sell. Yeah,
right?
sorry.
Yeah. Even age,
Age, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And also, when you look for doctors, you shouldn't have only men showing up as images. That has fixed, of course, they fixed it, but it's very one thing we have to understand is we cannot let machines we cannot assume that machines are objective. That's the biggest problem, because we are the ones providing. It's not just a reflection of our bias, but it's a reinforcement of our bias as well. So we are imperfect as human beings. So
I think when we were talking about soaps, I was thinking, but all
yeah,
factors have to be considered. So
yeah, absolutely. No, this is a simple solution. And also, the very famous example of the soap dispenser not working for black skins and only for white people. Like there were you can in the beginning, of course, now they've fixed it, but it would only work for a white skin. So it's and imagine if that was a health device that needed to be used, for instance. So
definitely. So
yeah,
I think that we are improving in that space. There are so many whistleblowers, so many topics on this gender bias and diversity issues. So the people are noticing it, I guess.
yeah,
So
we have a lot of work to be done. Not yes, that's a good start, but it's a big uphill battle, I have to say.
definitely. So I also had this question from a follower for AI enthusiasts watching this. Where do they begin? I'm just a passionate AI person, but where do I begin? Is there a way, to get into this AI?
Well, AI is really a huge space. Like we've just spoken about, you could there are so many job descriptions and so many, and like right from interestingly not your super technical stuff as well. You have AI ethicists, you have AI let's say you have the more traditional engineers who build models, and of course that's like the easiest the job description. You have machine learning engineers, you have data scientists, you have data engineers, because now it's not just about building models and testing is more a data scientist thing. And now you have these ML ops, like you are building a modeling and putting it in production. So it's kind of DevOps for machine learning. So you need data engineers for that, and you need uh, uh, yeah, data scientists, and you need subject specific experts in certain aspects. So it depends on what you're interested in. Are you interested more in the engineering side, or are you interested more in the data science side, or the ethics side, or data management side? So there are too many entry points, but in general, nowadays there's no shortage of online resources to start studying about these topics. You have so many open courses available. So whichever interests you, I would say try it out. And if you really are, if you are maybe a bachelor student, maybe you might consider doing a master's in the data science engineering. Or if you're already a professional, start taking an online course and look about. And there's, for example, competitions like Kaggle, which give open data sets, and you can build models and try to find out how your peers are doing. So there are lots of options, like if you want to get in. Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, because I've seen a lot of AI enthusiasts who don't know where to begin. So that's a great tip that you just gave. Online courses. There are many tools and technologies available these days. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Coursera is a good start, really. They have many specializations, and yeah, and Andrew Ng, the founder of Coursera, actually started as a introduction to machine learning. I think was his first course, or that was the first ever specialization of Coursera, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
one more question I got from a follower: what is the future of AI for someone with finance and audit experience? Is there something that they can closely relate? They're
Oh
facing
yeah,
audit.
absolutely. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. I mean, I would say financial markets, I mean, at least the field are definitely among the main adopters of AI because they have vast amounts of data and they have many use cases like credit scoring or investment decisions. Or for credit scoring, it's being used already since a couple of years. So there are other domains they're working on it, but I would say, like, if you look at in America, probably you have something called the FICO scores, FICO. Well, yeah, they are big. If you just look into their website and look at the kind of stuff they do in financial and also investment decisions, especially like stock markets, algorithmic trading, and yeah, a lot of things
So
happening. Yeah,
much to think about. I think once we
yeah,
get into the topic, there it keeps coming on and on. So
yeah, absolutely.
research will definitely help on this, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
One more thing is, what measures do companies normally take to avoid major issues due to AI? Of course, there might be some issues, right? So, what do you think are the measures that companies take?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like the AI adoption is very different in different industries. Like you have the big ones like Google, Amazon, Facebook. They their businesses are based on data and AI, of course. But there are also other companies that are catching up. They're trying to work on AI. I think I'm not exactly sure how much they are aware of the risks. Not everybody is aware of the risks. I think some are more aware than the others.
Mhm.
Some have system integrators or consultants that help them to go for it. And now all the big consultancy, the A levels, B levels, they have a program of responsible AI. So but the issue is that we don't have like a law or something that regulates AI. So it can come up in different formats. Like, for example, in Europe, we have a law called GDPR, which protects personal data. And it's not just about data. It tells that companies cannot fully automate a decision that has direct impact on people's lives. So, for instance, if you go to a bank and ask for a mortgage, and if you don't get a mortgage, you cannot say the computer said so. You have to provide an explanation for it. So they are aware of these kind of aspects. So maybe for some aspects they might avoid it, or they might use another technology. But I think that there is. We believe that there's not enough awareness about the risks.
Definitely. I think once we get into the research part of it, we'll know what risks are, then analyze the risks. And of course, there needs to be special study on the risk factors. Everything has a risk, right? Everything comes with a risk.
Yeah, it also what we have to understand is AI also comes with a huge opportunity. So it's so what we cannot, like, obviously for regulated industries like healthcare and finance, they are more wary of using it because of a number of regulatory issues. But also other companies which don't use personal data, which don't have direct, like factories that have to do predictive maintenance, that is to change a sensor before it's broken because an algorithm said so. For them, the risk is more about the algorithm being wrong rather than any colossal damage. So it's mostly about performance, about robustness. I would say robustness. They have to look into that. Yeah.
So easy with AI, of course. And
Well,
that's
it depends really, because sometimes we also know people who just want to use AI just for the sake of it, just because what we definitely think is, before they adopt AI, whether they are going to make their lives easier or more complicated, we always advise people to do a feasibility study. Does it make sense? Some of them don't even have the data to start with, and they say, I want to build an AI model. It's like, are you really sure? I mean, like, why? You need to sit down and think before you make the decision. And once you do see a case for it, absolutely, of course, it's a great technology if you want to use it in the right way with all the data you have. Yeah.
amazing. Leaving aside the AI topic, I also wanted to ask you, your job is so, I mean, I think you're a busy person. So how do you find time to keep yourself going with the leisure activities? What are your, favorite hobbies, things like that? What do you keep your, what activities make you happy in a day?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I think I should answer it like pre-corona and post-corona because it's the leisure activities can be varied. Well, I'm very fortunate to be living in a let's say close to the nature, so I really enjoy spending time with the nature. And I have two children, so they kind of keep my priorities right. So they kind of I cannot go on 1 minute more in a meeting because I need to go pick them up, for example.
Mhm.
So yeah, they give me a lot of perspective, and in general, I like to spend time with my family as much as possible when I don't work, because I do work a lot.
Mhm.
So when I try not to work, I all the time goes to my family. I like to cook for them, and yeah.
Right. Is there a dish that you're a specialist in? What's
Yeah, I like to cook South Indian food.
oh, good, good, good.
Yeah, yeah, that's my
Awesome.
favorite. I'm a well, I am my favorite food, I would say, is sambar.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah. I try. I don't make it as good as my mom, but I try.
Yeah, I mean, moms are always special. They make it more authentic. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
just try to imitate them.
I don't get curry leaves here.
Oh,
The imports are banned in Italy for
okay.
fresh curry leaves, so that I miss that flavor. Yeah.
What season is it in Italy right now?
Now it's spring is gonna come soon. 20th of March is officially spring here. I guess everywhere, but
Awesome,
yeah,
fantastic. You know
it's
a little.
quite it's warm for March usually. I mean, I live close to the Alps, so a little bit on the mountain side. So yeah,
Wonderful, beautiful,
yeah.
so nice. One more question I was going to ask. Is there any kind of inspirational story in your life? Have you met any mentor or anything that you would like to share? An inspiring story, a short one or a long one.
Well, I have how do I say I cannot name one,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been very fortunate in my experiences with people who encouraged me. Of course, starting with my from my parents. I'm the only child, and they've always. It was interesting. They never made me feel that I was a girl, that I couldn't do what. I mean, on the contrary, it was like, oh, it's a great thing that you're a girl and doing this. So, right from my parents and also my professors and my bosses in my previous jobs and all my colleagues, I've been extremely fortunate, I have to say, to have had a very nurturing environment so far. I cannot name one or two as mentors. I learn from everybody I work with or I interact with. So I don't have one to
Excellent.
name.
I mean, yeah, we come across so many people who are our well wishers who just lift us up. So that's every person's a mentor, I guess.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. The most how would say unexpected thing, like my neighbors, like they especially during the lockdown, it was so interesting to see how we connected just because we would just exchange some foods, and they are like they're native Italian, don't speak a word of English, and they try my food, and it's and even the small things like this, even non-professional things lift us up. It's like for me, I'm most inspired when I see human spirit. When I see people, you can connect with people just whether you are when you're just because you're human.
mhm.
That really inspires me, and it lifts my spirit. And actually, there's one incident that really I always think of it. Whenever I lose faith in whatever is happening, one of the incidents, of course, like I did my master, I did my internship at Volvo, the car manufacturer in Sweden, and I
Mhm.
was there for six months. And one day I lost I was going to the airport, and I took a bus, and I had my backpack with all my passport, my wallet. And in Sweden, you need to wear a seat belt also in a bus. So, and I didn't wear it because I had the backpack, and the driver was giving me a dirty look. So I just put it next to the seat. And I got off the bus with my trolley, but I forgot my backpack in the bus. So all my passport was there, and I
Oh,
got off. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have anything on me, and there was a guy who was repairing a bulb at the train station where I had to take the train to go to the airport, and I just was like desperate. I was like, I lost my bag, and this guy just got his car and said, "Get in the car." I would have never ever gotten into a stranger's car, but that moment I was like, and he chased the bus.
Excellent.
And we stopped it and we got the bag back, and I was like, I would like to send you a gift or something, give me your phone number. And he said no need, he just gave the phone number. And that night he asked me, after I reached the Netherlands, are you safe home? I don't even know the guy, so it's things like that really,
Good people are there
yeah,
everywhere, I guess.
everywhere. Yeah. There we see so much bad in the news, like all the world is rotting, people are so bad, but there are also good people, and that inspires me whenever I feel that.
So beautiful to listen to this story. So how do you actually say thank you so much in Italian?
Grazie mille.
Gracias is
Gracias is Spanish.
Spanish. Okay. Oh, wonderful.
Grazie mille.
Oh,
Grazie mille.
you just said thank you to that special person who helped you, I guess. So.
Grazie mille. That was Swedish, so it would be tack probably.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
It's different there, I guess, right?
No, it's completely different. It's a totally new language. Yeah, Swedish is totally different. Yeah.
People who are planning to connect with you or partner with you, how do they approach you? Is there
LinkedIn is a good start. I'm usually very approachable. I don't have any airs about myself. I consider myself to be a normal person. I mean, like I have this title, but it's because I have to do it. But I'm very happy
for that. I mean, so responsive, so quickly responded, and thank you actually for that.
No problem. I don't like to waste people's times unnecessarily, so I'm happy to. If I say yes, I'll do it, of course.
Wonderful, because I know a lot of AI enthusiasts here in the US in Atlanta. So a group of women who are interested and don't know how to start, and I really wanted to have this conversation with an expert like you, so the people might get inspired listening to this conversation. And I'm feeling so happy I did this during Women's Day. And wish you a wonderful Women's Day.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for this nice, pleasant conversation. I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. And I would love to see more pictures from where you are, the Alps, Italy.
Yes, usually. But in general, what I can say is where I live it's called Piemonte, which is a region bordering Switzerland, France. I'm talking nonsense. France. So we are in the French-Italian Alps. That's the border. So like France is 30 kilometers from here. And it's really a very visited region in Italy. Like people know Rome, Pisa, or Milan. Milan is also not too far from here. But this region, the capital city of the region is called Torino. And Turin, yeah. And it's quite wonderful. It's one of, I think, quite one of the most beautiful cities in Italy, very unknown actually. So most tourists are Italian, so it's very authentic tourism. So if you are interested to visit Italy, please visit Turin. It's really a wonderful city,
and I can imagining myself there.
It's really wonderful. And it's also the wine country. The people is here. It's the most important Italian red wines come from this region. So you have Tuscany rolling hills. There's also similar Tuscany type of landscape close by, and we have the mountains and beautiful lakes and mountain.
Yeah, me so much.
Just Italy. This is the, let's say, less known part of Italy, and I also.
So when I get there, I think I'll get the authentic.
Yeah, give me a ping.
Authentic pizza, authentic pasta.
Pizza is from Naples. Okay. Well, the authentic pizza, you need to go to Naples, but that's a totally different. It feels like a different country.
Okay.
uh, yeah, it's as diverse as, like, let's say, the difference between our Kerala cuisine or Andhra cuisine, even more diverse, like sometimes
Even in
the
the US,
between
we have the
regions.
northern and the southern cuisine is totally different. So,
Yeah. Here, every region, like Italy has several regions, and like Tuscany is a region, Rome is a region of Lazio. So they all have their authentic
interesting. Very
food.
interesting.
Yeah, cheeses. Every region has their own cheese and their own yeah, style of cooking. Especially Piemonte is and also chocolate is very famous. Yeah,
Wow.
people don't know about it, but
Who
chocolate,
doesn't
it's
love
very famous.
chocolate?
Who
So.
doesn't love chocolate? Right?
Interesting. Very interesting to know all this, Shalini. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing this little information about Italy as well.
yeah, of course. I can talk all about Italy, no problem. It's like it's my second home country.
So,
So yeah.
thank you so much again, Shalini, and for accepting this invite in such a short notice and coming here and talking
No,
to
it
us.
was not really short. I mean, you planned it in advance, so well done on that. It was
Thank
quite a few weeks ago, so no problem.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
good
much.
organization. Yeah.
Happy
Okay.
Women's Day.
Thank you. You too, Anuradha. Bye.
Bye, Shalini.
Bye.